Well, Dave Ramsey and Johnny D go back on. They continue their show from last time, talking to this woman who is a baby mama and wants her boyfriend to marry her. And so they continue on the show, and Dave now is going to give some data. He is going to talk data on marriage and relationships. And you know, Dave, he knows the data. Let's go to it here.
I'm going to go with 32 years of broadcasting and experience and go with my gut on something here. I want to continue that.
Gotta go with the gut.
From that last caller.
Yeah. Because the actual data is, and those of you that are old like me, you don't realize this data, but more people now live together than are married. Actual human beings are more shacking up, cohabitating, whatever you want to call it, than are married. What people don't grasp is the data.
Now, actually, Dave's a little bit behind on this data. Now, Dave's old. He's probably almost getting geriatric. So actually, the data now says, and this data is even a couple of years old, that people age 18 to 34, more than half are not in any kind of relationship at all. They're not married. They're not cohabitating. They don't even have a boyfriend or girlfriend. They're just single, not even looking. 18 to 34, more than half are doing that, right? So when Dave says that, he's a dinosaur.
Data, it's been going on. It's been going on since the love shack of the 70s, and from then on, here we go. And so what people don't realize is the unintended consequences legally, financially, relationally, that builds up in these situations.
So he's saying he's going to give some statistics, I guess, about like, well, you do better if you're married. And he's like, people don't realize the consequences. No, Dave, maybe men have started to realize the incredible disadvantage that they are at if they are in a legal binding contract called marriage. They have signed the Faustian Pact. Maybe they have realized it, and that's why they're not getting married. Okay. that could be ding, ding, ding. What does marriage provide you if no fault divorce is on the table? What's marriage provide you really? We really have a romantic feelings partnership if no fault divorce is always on the table. That we can break this contract at any time for any reason. We just have a romantic feelings partnership then. Let's go.
There's books of research on this now, on the actual results. And in the financial arena, as an example, we'll start with that one. There is a thing called the marriage advantage. You've seen this data. And the marriage advantage says that married people live longer. I think that's because your wife drives you crazy to go get a physical. But I don't know exactly what it is, but.
Well, there's a plug for marriage. Your wife driving you crazy, badgering you about going to the doctor. Okay.
Married people live longer.
And their net worth is
significantly larger, and their incomes and their career trajectory is significantly higher.
Yeah, their net worths are significantly higher if they stay married, which we're finding that's getting harder and harder. Okay, so if they stay married, then yes, their incomes are higher. Okay, so we should put an asterisk there on that when Dave's talking about this. Mr. Statistics.
Statistically. So that's not like a Dave opinion. So you little farts on Tic Tac can just go run off the cliff, all right? But
I think Tic Tacs are things you eat for fresh breath. I'm not sure what he's talking about there. All right.
With your little comments, but the facts are, the data says that your net worth, your longevity, and your career track and income all are improved with marriage. It's called the research piece, buckets of research are called the marriage advantage in general. There's a whole volume. Also,
Now, before it goes on, that could be because men, so we'll talk about men specifically get married and then they start having a family and they get what's called the golden handcuffs, where they have to stay in a career, they have to move up the corporate ladder, they have to keep earning more because the expenses keep going up and up and up and up and up. He's not talking about expenses, he's just talking about income here. The expenses keep going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And probably the wife isn't, doing anything about those expenses. And so I got to keep working more and more, got to keep working longer and longer hours. I keep earning more and more. Dave's not telling you, well, how much is going out though? Yeah, the household income is more. What's the household expenditures though, too? Like that, how much are you holding on to would be another piece of this. Are you just working because the family just keeps spending? No, there's no talk of that here in the conversation. That's an important piece too. I mean, if you made $500,000 and you spent 490,000, well, did you do that well? No, not really. If you made 50,000 and you only spent 20, well, shoot, you're ahead then, right?
if you live together prior to getting married, you are statistically 4 times more likely to get a divorce later.
I hadn't heard it being that high. Wow.
That's why. Yep.
Yeah, that is high. That is very high. And I believe that people should not live together and fornicate and whatever else before they get married. But the thing that Dave isn't going to mention here is that this is most people. Most people now, I don't know, we're probably what, in the 80% range now? Most people are living together, even Christian people are living together before they get married. Like I remember when me and my wife got married, I went into the shop the next day as I was working at a dealership. And I went in the shop, not the next day, but in the next few weeks. And, we weren't living together and we were going to move in together once we got married. And I remember people looked at me like I had a monkey on my head when I told them that, yeah, we're going to move in together now because we're married, blah, blah, blah. Like they looked at me like I was an alien. So I'm saying that to say that this is not the norm, Dave, when like the norm is even for Christian people that we live together and then get married. All right. So you're talking about a small minority of people. I wish it wasn't, but that's the case here. Let's go on.
There's all kinds of data that shows the disadvantages to short engagements. You meet someone this weekend and by next weekend you're married. Statistically, you're very unlikely for that marriage to last as compared to someone who has a 6-month engagement period average, not a 2-year or a 6-year, but a 6-month engagement period average after the dating process has begun, because it takes a little while.
So oh yeah, you shouldn't get married right away. Who is doing this? Who is doing the average age for marriage now is like 20, 28, 29, something like that for men and women. Who is doing these types of marriages? Like this is not the 1970s anymore, driving to Reno and nobody is doing this. Like nobody's doing this, Dave. Like I know you're old, but come on, man. Nobody's doing this anymore. What are you talking about?
Here's the other, I don't know that this study's been done, and I don't know that it needs to be. That last caller said something that's important in this. It's this illusion of freedom and singleness. I'm going to live with somebody for 2 years, 5 years, 7 years. I'm going to have kids with them, but I'm not going to get married because I want to keep that shard of freedom.
1 foot out the door.
1 foot out the door. And what you forget is he or she can't fully anchor into you. Those kids can't fully anchor into this unit because it's not fully a unit yet, because you got 1 foot out of the boat.
This is where I would love to sit down. I would love to sit down with Johnny B and say, please explain to me how a marriage license does what you're saying. How does a marriage license say, yeah, I don't have 1 foot out the door anymore. I'm fully committed to you. No, you can break that at any time for any reason. And whoever wants to break it has all the power in the marriage. When we got rid of or when we went to no fault divorce, it gave whoever wants out of the marriage all the power in the marriage. So now whether that's the husband or the wife, now it seems to be the wife most of the time, 80% of the time, I think now. But whoever wants out has all the power. And they're like, I would love to sit down with him and ask him that question. How does getting legally married do anything for what you were just talking about here? It doesn't. It really doesn't. Like, what are you talking about, my friend? It doesn't do anything for you.
You only row in one arm, right?
It's so hard.
It's impossible.
And it's put her in a position almost as if she was in a domestic violence situation.
Oh, come on. Here we go with the white knighting. Oh, man. If you are cohabitating, then you're, I guess, the female in the relationship, she is in a domestic violence situation almost. Oh, what are you talking about? Yeah, all right, let's go.
She's not, I don't think, but she's trapped, and that's the abuser uses the trapped. Oh, how you gonna live? You ain't getting money, you know. So they're trapped, so they stay in the punching bag scenario because that's the only way the kids get to eat. But also, guess what? The kids get to watch this, and so they think that's how it's done.
This is so stupid on so many levels. To say that because you're not married, this is a domestic abuse case because you're not married, and oh, well, he's just using that to trap you in the home. Well, first, before we were talking about we're not getting married because you got one foot out the door. Now you're saying you're not getting married because the man's using this to trap you, lady, blah, blah. And he can hold financial power over you because you're in the home and your kids. This is his way to slap you around, blah, blah. What are you talking about, Dave? Have you ever heard of child support? Anytime a woman leaves, she will get child support. If the man is working, she'll get child support. So what are you talking about using this? Oh, for you and your kids, blah, blah. And you don't have to be married to get child support. You're getting that. She won't get alimony. Payments will not continue if she's not in the home unless he signs the marriage license and then he can pay alimony. Yay. Oh, man.
And this is a problem, a serious problem. So just telling you, I mean, what would you tell your 7-year-old daughter, right? Your 17-year-old daughter, your 17-year-old son. What does a man look like in these situations? Well,
here we go. Here's what a man looks like in these situations. You marry that woman, sign the marriage license, and maybe she'll stay married to you, even though the marriage license does nothing for commitment at all, because you can leave at any time for any reason. Like, okay, like that.
You know, a reasonable length of engagement, not living together prior to marriage, and then getting married. You have oh, by the way, if you graduate from college, you know, you heard this thing, 50% of the marriages fail. You heard that one?
Yeah.
It's absolutely not true. That's right. Absolutely not true. They don't. Okay. If you make more than $50,000 a year household income, both of you graduate from college, and both of your parents are still married, you have a 90% chance of your marriage lasting.
Well, I'll say, Dave, these are some good statistics, right? He talks about that. Well, you got a 90% chance of saying if your household income is above 50 grand, if both of your parents are still married and you have a college education. Okay, that's great, Dave. How many people in the United States of America have those three things? How many people have those three things? Not many. Not many anymore. You know, I was looking up some data here. Actually, I didn't realize the average household income right now is 75 grand. So I thought, well, hey, that's not bad, you know. So I guess if you're going to get married, don't be poor. Marriage is for people who are not poor now. So okay, I guess that's one thing. The other thing I looked up, this is, so he's talking about if both of your parents are still married, then you have great chance here. You know, I was looking, this is from Bloomberg. 18% of households right now, currently, 18% have married parents in the household. 18%. I thought 18%. We're not even, I mean, the old 80-20 rule, 80%, 20%. We're not even in the 80-20 rule with married parents in the home. And Dave saying, yeah, good, like, you got a great chance. Well, except 18% currently of households have married parents. That made me want to bang my head against the wall. Like, it's that low. It's so bad. All right, let's go on.
That's the stats. That's the real stats. Okay. So some of these you can't control whether your parents are still together, but you can control graduating from school. You can control accomplishing goals. You can control delaying pleasure, called maturity. You can control these things. These are controllables that you can use to set the table for your life.
Yeah, and good luck controlling your spouse, though. If we're talking about marriage, good luck controlling your spouse. Like, we're talking about staying married. Good luck controlling your spouse, because again, whoever wants out of the marriage, they have all the power in the marriage.
And then you get to see what the results are, what the fruit is out of that. And so, none of my children prior to marriage lived together. None of them. Was it because dad's a big old meanie? No, it's because I taught them this stuff. You have a distinct advantage if you will have a reasonable length of engagement, graduate from school, make a reasonable income, marry someone that is of the same religious preference that you are, learn to set boundaries with extended family. If you do all of these things, and agree on kids, how many to have and whether to let them live, all these kinds of things, right? And that was a joke. And sort of, but
that was a really lousy joke. I was like, you agree on kids and whether to let them live, like appealing to abortion there. I was like, man, that's a pretty lousy joke. Again, it's a joke though, because that's a female issue, not a male issue. So we can joke about that. If it was a male issue, then we go.
But I mean, when you have these things lined up ahead of time, your probability of having a marriage that lasts is very high. I mean, Sharon and I are getting ready to celebrate 41 years, and there have been times we almost killed each other.
But you fell back on that covenant.
Well, and we fell back on this value system that set us up to win. And
So I do actually like Johnny D saying you fell back on that covenant. And Dave kind of throws that away and is like, nope, it wasn't the covenant. We fell back on this value system. Like boy, Johnny D, he kind of just served up that tea for you to bat the home run. He just got, it's just, now forget about that covenant stuff that, where we vowed before God, we're going to stay together. We got this value system that's better. Like, well, we got good education. We're making good money, blah, 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 blah. Because that covenant, listen, I bet you if they, it's almost like Dave saying, listen, you say for better, for worse, but we really know it's for better. We say for richer, for poorer, but we know if it's poor, no money, no honey, you're out of here. We say in sickness and in health, but you better stay healthy or else, boy, it's going to get rough here. Like that sounds like David saying that with anyway.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
I always like to flip the coin and ask myself, what has happened in this many years, and for people to opt out. And I do want to put some of the ownership on those of us who are married with kids.
So he asked the question, what has happened? And he's going to go on. We'll end here. He's going to go on and say, oh, well, it's us with kids because we set poor examples in front of our kids, and that's why they don't want to get married. I don't think, if we say what has happened since, I don't know, maybe the early 1970s is usually where they start tracking this data, where marriage has just got obliterated. What happened? Well, no fault divorce happened, where we just say, we just get divorced at any time for any reason. We make it easy. We streamline the process. Hey, with no fault divorce, we pretty much have romantic feelings partnerships. We don't really have covenant marriage for better, for worse, sickness and health, death do us part, that kind of stuff. We don't really have that anymore. And that's sad. That's sad. I don't, Dave and Johnny D, they're trying to do the best they can, but I think they're missing the picture, especially for men. What does a marriage license really give a man anymore? It's mostly all downside. It's mostly all downside risk for the man. I mean, I've got 3 boys and 2 girls, and I'm praying every one of them gets married. But man, signing the marriage license though, boy, especially for the boys, if they want a traditional family, like, boy, that's a lot of downside risk on that. Not a lot of upside on it. We got to get this corrected though. We got to get this corrected. But even with even the shape of the family, 18% of families have married parents. 18%. I can't believe it. We got to get that corrected. With all that being said, though, even still, Christ is winning. He is building his church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it. Until next time, this is the Post Millennial Man.